What is up, everybody? It is I, Carlton Flowers, your crypto pro.
Yay!
And today on Crypto Talk, we're going to talk about money and cryptocurrency and how it is a fig Newton of your imagination. Little joke there. I got jokes this morning. So on the last video, I had alluded to a story that some of you might be familiar with about the emperor is not wearing any clothes. And so if you don't know the story, I'll give you the story. It goes something like this, and I can't remember how exactly it goes, but there's this weird, eccentric emperor, and he has an active imagination. And so he likes to run around stark naked, but then he tells his subjects that he's wearing this absolutely fantastic new purple robe with, some type of new shoes, and he describes everything that he's wearing. And so then the subjects kind of look around like, okay, yeah. And so then they run out and announce to everyone that the emperor is wearing this new fabulous purple robe. And when the emperor goes out in public, everyone is shocked. But then since they see the subjects pretending that he's wearing clothes, they all think, oh, well, maybe he is, and maybe I'm losing my mind. And they all go along with it. So time goes on, and every time the emperor has a new outfit that doesn't exist, he goes out in public stark naked. The subjects come out, describe his new outfit, and everybody just oohs and ahs and goes right along with it until one person in the crowd finally screamed out, "The emperor is not wearing any clothes." So it took one oddball to wake everybody up to the fact that they weren't crazy, but the emperor wasn't wearing any clothes. So what's that got to do with money and cryptocurrency? It has everything to do with it. First of all, money is not what you think it is. It has no value, paper money, and it only is given value because of an agreement by people and our active imagination. Now think about this. You got the government that prints the money and puts it out there, and then eventually they started doing electronic money where it's on the databases in the on the ledgers, the electronic ledgers of the banks and the Federal Reserve. And so in order to pump money into the economy, instead of printing it and giving it physically to banks, now they can just type in numbers in a computer and voila, there it is. So if they want to print $1 billion, type it in the computer, it's there, and then they can give that new non-existent money to member banks who can then loan it out and demand to have it back with interest that doesn't exist. But then we still have a certain percentage of paper currency that circulates. Now, we all think that a $20 bill is worth $20 and not the 5 cents that the paper is actually worth. 5 cents for the paper and maybe 3 cents for the ink. But because we all agree that this is the standard for the exchange of value, then the emperor, who's not wearing any clothes, actually has a fabulous outfit on. In other words, the Federal Reserve, with their useless paper, it's actually this fabulous, valuable stuff that is worth its weight in gold, because we agree. Now, every year the government prints money, and we think it still has value, and there's a certain percentage of money that is out in circulation. And do you think that the government knows exactly how much printed money exists? And do you think they know exactly how much electronic plus printed money is in existence? Well, if you think they do, you are wrong, because there is no way for the government to be able to tell exactly to the penny how much money is in circulation. Imagine all of the people who have lost money or hidden money in their mattresses or buried it in the ground. How can you tell how much money out there in circulation that has been hidden or lost? We will never be able to tell. Another thing is, we always complain about how the government is printing money and driving up inflation, and we can't keep up because wages don't increase along with inflation. And we want the government to stop the money printer. You know how we're always teasing with the Jerome Powell gif with the money printer? Well, think about this. How would the economy run if the government wasn't printing money? What would happen if they just stopped printing money? Well, I'll tell you what would happen. You would not have all the creature comforts and all the spoilings that you enjoy every day, because when the government prints money, it makes people participate in the economy. Okay? And that's why money really is useless, doesn't exist, and is a figment of our imagination. And so the government knows, in order to keep people working and keep people spending money in the grocery store, or in order to keep electricity flowing and keep the oil pipelines pumping and keep commerce going, they pump money into the economy. So when the economy slows, they do quantitative easing and they pump money in because that money will get spent. So whenever we want to bomb another country, we just print a couple $1 billion, and that goes to Halliburton and Boeing and Grumman and all of the big defense contractors. They make the bombs, they pay their employees, and their employees go home with more money and they spend that in the grocery store. Or if we need to fix the electrical grid or do work on the pipeline, they print the money. Those companies get that money. They circulate it by printing or giving it to their employees in the form of paychecks, and then people go out and they spend those paychecks. And then guess what happens? Since the demand increases for goods and services, prices go up naturally. Now, we all complain about inflation. We all complain about the government printing money. But here's the funny thing about it. While we sit up and say, hey, wages aren't increasing along with inflation, what would happen if the government gave us more money to spend on groceries to help us out with more stimulus checks? You know how you hear people saying, well, we need more money from the government for more groceries because we can't afford to pay our basic bills. But what do they do when they get their hands on the money? Some smart people will save it or use it for what its intended purpose was, but most people are going to go out and buy a car, go to the movies, buy new clothes, eat at restaurants, eat out on the town every day, take vacations, and do fun stuff until that money is gone. And so as soon as you pump out that stimulus money, spending goes way up. And guess what happens when spending goes up? Inflation goes up. It's an impossible situation to solve. So to keep the economy going, we have to spur spending. And when the spending is spurred, inflation kicks in, prices go up, and then we have to slow people down. It's a bunch of nonsense. So all in all, we sit here complaining about how the dollar is being devalued, but it was never worth anything in the first place. It's only worth something because we said, yeah, we agree that the Federal Reserve Bank, which is not federal or a bank with no reserve, prints this fake stuff and we put a value on it. And it boils down to the fact that this paper money or electronic money is a medium of exchange of value. In other words, you got to go to work for the water treatment plant so everybody can have water, and somebody else has to show up to work at the grocery store. Someone else has to mow lawns. Someone has to work at the hospital to keep us healthy. And money is just the little ticket to make sure that we're keeping track of who's providing value. Okay, so we all want to be rich so that we can all sit back and enjoy the spoils and not have to provide value. And I'm going to talk about in another video how everyone in crypto, the majority of people in cryptocurrency, your fundamental reason why you're here is wrong. But let's move on to the next topic. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a figment of your imagination. And yet another example of how the emperor is not wearing any clothes. Now, think about this. Fiat money is non-existent, it's worthless. And you have some forms of it that's in paper and then some of it that's electronic. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is completely a figment of your imagination. Here's why. So Satoshi Nakamoto comes along and says, I can solve this problem of evil governments by creating Bitcoin. Digital gold is what they call it. Digital gold. Here's how it works out. There's 5 people sitting in a circle. And they're saying, hey, how can we keep track of who's providing value between us 5 friends? One mows lawn, one mows the lawn for others. One fixes the plumbing. One does electrical repairs. One fixes roofs, and one makes food. And they all want to take track. Well, they decide, hey, let's keep track with each other and let's make something, and we're going to call it Bitcoin. And they all say, hey, great idea. We'll call it digital gold. But it only exists in our imagination. So how do we make sure that all of us, all 5 of us, are on the same page with our imaginary money? We'll make a ledger. We'll all write down in this notebook, and we'll all have to agree that whenever you trade a lawn mowing for a roof job or work on patching your roof, but you don't want to patch the roof now, so we're going to make a Bitcoin, which gives you a ticket to trade that in for a service later. We'll write it on this ledger. So then we all got together and pooled our imaginary resources, and we put Bitcoin on a ledger on the internet, which doesn't exist because can you put your finger on the internet? So the blockchain exists, but where is it? So these Bitcoins are on this ledger, and everyone has agreed that Bitcoin, which no one can put a finger on, you can't print a Bitcoin, you can't see a Bitcoin, you can't hear a Bitcoin. No, we have nice shiny gold pictures with a B and the $ thing on it so we can imagine what a Bitcoin could look like. But really, it's just an agreement of a bunch of people who decided to make imaginary gold. And then the blockchain is the scorekeeper and the ledger of how we will store our value of our imaginary gold. It's amazing. So while we have food and we have cars and we have clothes and all these physical things that we trade, we're going to maybe keep score in the future with Bitcoin, the imaginary money. The emperor has no clothes. I was listening to a video today talking about how there's 900 Bitcoins mined a day and 1,100 bought and sold or something like that. And that over time, there's going to come a day where there's going to be more bought than what is mined. And when mining is done, it's going to go to the moon. But why? So if Bitcoin is the medium of exchange for keeping the score of value being provided and to store your value, which I agree that it's a great way to store value, why should it go to the moon whenever we run to the point that there's 21 million printed and none left? So if Bitcoin goes to $1 million a coin and then 5 million a coin because there's none left, what's going to drive it up higher? Why is everybody going to continue to try to buy it when it's just a medium of exchange that someone thought up in their imagination that we decided we would give value? And why would it continue to $1 million or 5 million if there's other ways that people can exchange value? You ever heard of barter? You ever heard of Ethereum or any of the other crazy coins like WorldCoin that come out? What if a significant amount of people decide that they trust each other with WorldCoin as their medium of exchanging value because they don't want to pay $1 million for a Bitcoin? It's just something to think about. So while we're all trying to hoard our Bitcoin and our cryptocurrency because we've got champagne wishes and caviar dreams and because we want to sit back and have millions of dollars and enjoy the spoils of the world without having to do any work and provide value, what happens when all of us are sitting back in our lazy boy recliners because we've hoarded Bitcoin and nobody's providing value? Can we all get rich? who's going to do the work to bring our caviar and drive our limousine if we're all just hoarding Bitcoin? Something to think about. So while you're scrambling to get your altcoins and your Bitcoins before this bull market, think about that for a while. And think about society in this world and who does the work and how important it is for everybody to do their part. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. Did I change the way that you view money or cryptocurrency, Bitcoin? Let me know. And then I'll have another crazy video to take you down a rabbit trail. But for right now, I would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to the Crypto Pro channel. If you would like to help me to pay for these expenses that are hitting me like a ton of bricks, you may do so with the giving of a super thanks. And if you want to request technical analysis for your imaginary favorite altcoin, you may do so, and I will be going live soon. That's all we got for now. This is Carlton, and I am out.